Hi, welcome back to Hanging with Hooper. I'm so glad that you're here today. I'm going to sit here and do some greeting and just have a little bit of a chit chat about my week and show you what I'm going to be doing for next week because I'm getting ready to do some planning. So come along with me. All right, so I know it's not the best angle, but I don't feel like getting a tripod out. So anyway, I had a pretty good week, an exhausting week. I feel like we're now into the swing of things and kids are starting to get the procedures. This 3 weeks is probably the longest it's taken me. And there are certain times when they're still pushing it. So I would like for them to be a little bit farther than what they are. If somebody walked into my room, they probably thought it was great, but I am very strict and I like things exactly the way I want them. And until I get them there, it's a little bit of a struggle. I can't do the room transformations and the stuff that I like to do if we don't have those behaviors down. So we are still working on behaviors. I guess I wouldn't say behaviors because I'm not really having that for the majority of them. It's just, I like things done a certain way because when it's done a certain way, we can move more efficiently. So one thing that I have been talking about with some other teachers that are new is just like scheduling, making sure like when you get your schedule down that you don't allow for time where you're not doing something. So I'm not saying don't allow time for them to work because that absolutely has to happen. But like when you're transitioning from one subject to another and you have 5 minutes because you got to get something ready or something like that, preparation is key and not having that 5 minutes to allow them to have behaviors. So my kids are finally getting down. We're not quite there. Like I have timer set on my iPad. And so as soon as it goes off, like I want them to automatically know what to move on to next. We have a schedule on the board and on my timers, I put what is next. So I have a job for somebody who has to turn my alarms off and read what it is so that they can tell the class if they're not transitioning. So we're still working on that a little bit. That's taking a little bit too long for me. So, that's just some little things that work in my classroom, so maybe it will help you. But if you're having a class that has a lot of behaviors, that might be something that you can look at to see if you can tighten up a little bit. Obviously, it requires you to be prepared so that you don't have those few minutes in between, but it does make a huge difference. So that's one reason that I use slides to guide my teaching as much as possible. Like, it took me a couple of years of a lot of work, but now I can get a whole day ready in 10 minutes or less, depending on the day. Or, if I want to add something, I might have to change something on the slides, but I just keep those slides from year to year and either add to it, change them as I need to, and then they're ready to go the next year. And so that's been super helpful. But it does take a lot of work at the beginning if you choose to use slides. So I'm not going to lie on that, but it makes a huge difference and it's so worth not having the behaviors because you just keep moving. There's no time to not move. So, or no time to get in trouble. So that is something that you can think about. So right now I'm grading Ground Zero. Have you ever read this book? Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Alan Gratz is amazing. I love all of his book. He's mostly historical fiction. One is about global warming. But the rest I have read are science fiction. There's just a few I haven't read, I think now. But anyway, I read this one the first time and it was so impactful to me. And I love the twist at the end. Well, not quite the end, a little bit before, Anyway, and I loved it so much that I purchased all my own copies because I am that teacher that likes to have my own things if I can do it. I don't do it if I can't, if not, that's fine. But if I would move schools or something, I loved it that much. I wanted to be able to take it with me. So no plans of moving schools, but just that's always how I kind of think because you never know what's going to happen. But anyway, and so it's an amazing story. There are some very graphic parts that I stop and talk to my kids about. I will say, and I've always sent like a note home to parents that we're going to talk about some sensitive topics. Like it does bring up some drug talk because Afghanistan is known for that, and like the poppy flowers. And so we have a very quick discussion about that because it does come up. And there's a lot of graphics with like people dying in the book. So it may not be for every school. My school has supported me and my parents have supported me, and partly because the kids love it and always talk about this book. So I've never had any parents push back so far. And I will say that I've had a couple kids who have become Alan Gratz fans because of this book. So again, not every school is probably going to allow it. So you definitely is not a book that you don't read before you would suggest it for your kids or whatever, because it really depends on your school and the type of parents that you have and that kind of thing. So, but anyway, if that is something that you need, I always try and finish it before I finish it on the day of 9/11, and then we'll do some activities with it afterwards. So that's what I am grading right now, is some questions to this book. All right, all of my stuff has been graded for the week. Now it is time to enter grades. So let's get this done. Okay, so today it's a Friday, and so on Fridays we work really hard. Monday through Thursday. Like I push the kids hard. And Friday we still do things, but sometimes I try and play review games or do a different writing activity or something like that just to change it up a little bit because I'm very routine. So today we have grandparents night next week. So we did a grandparent writing. So on Monday we need to do our final draft of that. So we had a quick conversation about paragraphs and the expectations for those, even though we haven't taught it explicitly. They did a pretty good job. So I'm excited about that. So we'll do that on Monday. And then we did a review game for vocabulary. And so I don't know the name of it. I saw it on social media, so I just call it that game. I don't know, because I'm like, it's that game. I don't know. So anyway, all it is you can put like pieces of paper on the wall or on the board. I use slides and I use different pictures depending on the season or what we're learning or something like that. But and you put different point values behind it. Some are positive, some are negative, and as they answer questions and they get it right, they get to put like a sticky notes. So you have different colors of sticky notes. I don't have sticky notes. I used to use sticky notes. However, I hated wasting them. So I did buy some of these little magnets. So they're these little magnets. They look like push pins, just without the pointy part, and it has the magnet. And I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 different colors, so I can go up to 8 groups. And I think there's 15 of each color, maybe. I know it's more than 10. I think it's 15. So I can go up to like 15 questions. But they each have a color, and if they get it right, they go put this on whatever my background is. So let me show you today's background. And here is that background. So So here is, so then they would just take the magnet on the whiteboard, of course, and they would put their magnet on whichever leaf they're choosing. And they can put it on multiple. I don't care if they put all of them on one. That is their group's decision. And then at the end, we tally their points. So then I just start revealing the leaves after we're done with all the questions, and they start calculating their points. And so some of them are positive and some of them are negative. So even if they get a couple wrong, they can still win the game. And then when I took that off, I forgot to put one behind it. And they were like, what? And I was like, sorry, it's 0. So I need to fix that while I'm sitting here. And so I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to copy this just so they all look the same, and put it over here, and I'm going to put a 3. So if I use this again, oh, and I need to also put that behind it. So that was the game that we played today for vocabulary. Okay, so I am all done planning, I think, anyway. So let me show you what I'm going to be doing next week. Okay, so these are my plans. Next week, we're going to finish up our grandparent writing and write our final copy on Monday. We are in OG, and we have some lessons that were given to our school through our training and all of that. So I will be doing lesson 5. We will be reviewing, oh goodness, what was it this week? We will be reviewing the floss rules, and after the end of one syllable word, after one short vowel, what the different sounds are. So that is what we will be doing part of the week, and then we will go into lesson 6. I do them a couple days at a time, and then I move on. Hopefully next year we can do it once, one lesson a day, and then hopefully by the following year we won't have to be doing those lessons anymore, and we can do them in small groups because our kids will know it since our whole school is doing it. And then I always do daily work from teaching with a mountain view for reading, and so those are my slides. So I just pull from my slides to put into my daily slides, and that goes pretty quickly. Main idea is always Monday, inferencing is always Wednesday, and then the other, I don't do it on Fridays, so Tuesday and Thursdays, those switch. We are going to finish up ground 0 on Wednesday. So on Thursday, with the packet that I have from Learn in Color, they have some extra things about 9/11, more nonfiction type things that we are going to read and discuss. I can't remember if there's not questions with that, but we will have done so much. I think I am going to let them possibly do this creative cover. I have a pretty artsy class. Several of them enjoy art, so we might do that. I will then, on Friday, I am going to read Fireboat. And one thing that I do, like, my picture books are not out for my kids to use. These are for me to teach from. They can look at them when I am done. But one thing that I do is I put the questions and or activities that I want to do in the book, so I don't have to look for it, and they're there. So we're going to talk a lot about symbolism with this book and another book that we are going to read the following week. This is another example. So like I have a handout that goes with this, so I just put it in the book so I always have it. The other one that we're going to read next Monday is 7.5 Tons of Steel. And again, I just have, oh, it must be in the back. I just have my questions in the back that I use to ask them, and I don't have to keep looking them up. I don't have to have an extra sheet of paper. They're just there. And so that's wonderful. And then Next Tuesday, I will read 14 Cows for America. And again, my questions are already in it and ready to go. If I have activities I do with them, I put them in there. So like when we do the fireboat one, they're going to make a T-chart and they're going to think about heroes, acts of courage, and like everyday heroes and 9/11 heroes. Like what's the difference? What heroes do we see every day? You know, like teachers or helping a friend who's being bullied, those kinds of things. So those are some of the picture books that I will add in and nonfiction things as well. So that will be reading next week. Vocabulary, we use something that we bought on Teachers Pay Teachers that goes with like our Greek and Latin roots, and it's all about affixes. And that is from, let's see if this, Got to Teach. And so we use these and we will start unit 3. And how I do that is I typically introduce the words and then I have kind of modified like the Frere model. And so I have 4 boxes. They have to give me a definition in their own words, a synonym, an antonym, an example, and a non-example. And that really helps my kids. And we do a lot of that together just so we can have conversations, and it really helps the words to stick. And then after we do that for a couple of days, then we will go into the worksheets that go with that. And then they take a test every 2 weeks on that. So we take 2 weeks to do that. So that's what we are doing for vocabulary. And then let's see, in math, we will start volume. So we just finished multiplication. So I'm going to hit volume and area, get those done and out of the way. So that's the next unit I will be doing in math. And of course, math facts and social studies. We're still on geography, so we will be learning the states through learning about the different regions. So I have worksheets that I have been given. Not sure where those are at the moment, but they come from, we will learn and read about the different regions of the United States and focus on those states for a few days, and then we move on. At the end of this unit, we do a salt dough map, which I remember in school and I loved it. So we have incorporated that into our social studies for a end of project. That's fun. And then in the big idea, we are moving into the second week of learning about our body systems, and we're going to focus on skin. And so our focus question is, why does skin wrinkle in the bathtub? And so again, I just have all these slides made for everything that we're doing, and I can pop it up there. I have videos in there if I've added it. We always talk about the vocabulary first. I try to give them pictures if needed. We're going to talk about organs, and then they will do the worksheet, and then we go over it together. And the 5th worksheet is the one that they use for a grade. And so this is kind of how I do that. We get science in, but it is not done like excessively, but we get a lot of vocabulary in and answer a lot of cool questions and stuff like that. So that is what we're doing for science. And that is my week. So that is my week. And all I got to do is make a few copies to get me ready for Monday. And then Monday morning, I will make the rest of my week just in case, something happens and I don't get in here. I want to at least have Monday done. And I don't want to have too many. I might do the whole week. But then I am ready to go for the week, and I don't have to do anything on the weekend, which is nice. I might stay later during the week so I can have 2 days of doing absolutely nothing for school. And I love doing it that way. So that's where I get my self time. And I don't have to think about school or anything like that. I would rather stay a couple hours after school on a Friday night when everybody else goes home. Anyway, I'm so glad you joined me. Make sure that you leave comments down below. Let me know about your behavior strategies or any other books that you really like that go with 9/11 or anything like that. So thank you so much for joining me. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.